Hi there, Jim Flieler, Charlotte Products. Today's topic is food safety. We've got a residential setting here, and what you can see is we've actually taped the area of the counter here with and we've identified this side as a contaminated area, and we've identified this area as a clean and disinfected area. So I've still got my groceries in the car. First thing I've done, which is critical, is to come in and absolutely wash my hands thoroughly. And then I've put on gloves because some people could be sensitive with cleaners and disinfectants and things, so I've done that. And my bags are in the car and I'll bring those in shortly. So the first thing, I'm going to take my EnviroSolutions ES15. I'm going to totally saturate the area, both sides as a matter of fact. And what you do know, we've been talking about in our seminars, if you have a big area or whatever, you can certainly use the pump up sprayer as well. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is obviously pre-clean. So I'm just simply going to pre-clean my surface, any gross film, both sides, just back and forth. Okay, so I've done that, and you can see actually a fair bit of debris comes off. I'm just simply going to do a fine mist. Okay, and walk away, and that's the beauty about ES15 there. So we're going to let that sit, okay, because we need the dwell time, right? And I'm going to go and get the groceries now from the car. Okay, so I'll be right back. Okay, now that I've got my two areas both disinfected, I'm bringing my bags in, and what you can see is automatically I've put this bottom down. Okay, so if you didn't disinfect that, you're obviously going to have a risk of contamination. Like I said before, if you do that, the best thing is to actually tip it on its side so you're not coming into contact. So what I've got here in my two bags, and what you can see is I can disinfect this bag. It's fairly steady. I've got stable. I've got a paper bag as well. But this plastic bag, which I believe in Canada, they're actually eliminating them all. But this here, basically what I've got is, I've got a soft area that I really can't disinfect. So I'm going to take my items out of here, which I've got some bananas, I've got a grapefruit, I've got a lime, I've got a tomato, and I've got some grapes. So I'm going to go over to the sink, and what I've done here is I've added a little bit of cool water. I've added our EnviroSolutions ES79. That's our dishwashing liquid. It's an Eco-Logo certified one as well, and I want to let them soak. There's a possibility of there'll be insecticides, there'll be some pesticides, there'll be bird droppings, maybe some insects and things like that, and we just want to make sure we're getting any of that off there because we want to be as safe as possible. Okay, so now I'm going to see what I've got in this bag, and you can see I've got my cornflakes, I've got a little bit of salad dressing, I got some beans, a couple of canned goods, and I've got some soup here. And you notice I'm keeping everything on this particular side of the counter. And what I want to do, because the danger of these reusable bags is that people just empty them, and then put them back in their vehicle or their box, and you've got a risk of contamination. So what I want to do is just basically do a nice pre-clean, removing gross film, any kind of filth. Okay, and the one thing about this is people generally don't do the inside of the bag, and the inside of the bag is really where most of your goods come in contact. So I'm just going to put a little bit in here, and I'm going to, just for time, I'm going to speed it up because we don't have the time for dwell time, but you want to follow those instructions. So, and then I may just take this and do the straps, right? So what I've done is I've got that bag fairly clean now, and I'm going to set that on the clean and disinfected side so I don't recontaminate it. So I'm going to take my cloth now. I've got a couple of cans of canned goods, beans. I'm just going to wipe these down where any stock clerk or customer maybe decided to grab them and didn't buy it. Set it on my clean side. Okay, so no longer on the contaminated side. I'm going to take my salad dressing. Okay, all of the surface areas that could be a risk. And then when it comes down to the box of cereal, whether it's cereal or cookies or whatever, I basically want to make sure I'm disinfecting an area that anybody absolutely may have touched. You know, the bottom of the shelf, the sides. Now, some people will actually remove the contents of the bag, dispose of the box, and put it in a container in the pantry. So I'm going to set that down there as well, leave all of my contamination stuff there. So let's go to the sink and we're going to do our produce now. So what I've got my sink a little cool. I put my ES79 in there, and all I want to do is just basically, they've soaked, so the detergency is there. Soap kills germs, by the way. I'm going to just give these a little bit of a clean, set them in cool water. I want to let them sit there for a few minutes to make sure they soak and there's nothing there. And things like bananas, you know, don't take for granted that nothing grows. I mean, obviously the skin is there, but you still come in contact with skin, and you could be digesting anything that's on it. So the grapes, okay, just gently massage them a little bit, okay. The soaking actually works really well. And then I've got another lime here. That's what I have. So we're going to do that. Right, so now I've washed them, I've removed any insecticides and things, I'm actually letting them soak now, and all I need to do is just pretend, for the camera's sake, that they've soaked for a few minutes. I'm going to take them out. I am going to set them on a towel to air dry, and that is it. Now, one thing too is, if you're a smaller household, and you don't have, you know, you're only going to use a couple of limes and a couple of bananas, you obviously don't want to fill a whole sink full of water. You want to conserve water. So we've just taken a dish here. So what you can see is, if you only have a few items, you could just simply soak like so, and to save it that way. So another thing we can do is, we've got a lot, if you've only got a few, if you're not into doing soap and water in there, and maybe you want to conserve a little bit more water, we do have our all organic veggie and produce wash. So you can just take this. Now this is really good there's no dwell time here. This is absolutely great for vegetables, lettuce, spinach, you know, those kinds of things. And you just let it sit and go from there. So if you're into all organics and you want a USDA certified veggie and produce wash, then we have it available. So I think that really concludes everything. Pat dry, these are ready to go in the crisper. So what I really wanted to point out today is, look, there's a risk when you go to the grocery store. There's no question about that. When you come home, if you practice a few wise things, you can lower the risk of an outbreak without doubt. Just simply, you don't have to put tape across, but just maybe a sticker that says contaminated and then a cleaned area. And that's good, solid peace of mind. So that's just one way we can help you lower the risk, and that's food safety. Thank you.